Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Game Changer. I'm Mariam Zia. In today's program, we will be talking about Pakistan's untapped potential in mineral sector. When we talk about Pakistan's potential, of course, Pakistan is one of the few countries of the world that is blessed with diverse characteristics, and we have huge mineral resources. But when we talk about vision for utilizing these resources, maybe there was a lack of vision for utilizing this and for economic boost of these, utilizing these minerals for economic boost of the country. But recently, to address this challenge, first time in the history of Pakistan, Pakistan's Mineral Summit was organized, and this was organized by SIFC, and to address the challenges that Pakistan has been facing in mineral potential. When we talk about Pakistan's mineral potential, that lies at around $6 trillion. In today's program, we will be talking about the challenges that Pakistan's mining and mineral sector faces and what needs to be done, what are some of the lessons that we can learn from other countries in the world that are utilizing their economic, mining sector for their economic prosperity. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the program by Mr. Shehbaz, who is expert in international affairs. We are also joined by Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal, who is expert in international affairs. We are also joined online by Mr. Humayun Khan, who is expert in international affairs. Welcome to the program. So, Mr. Shehbaz, let me start with a very basic question. When we talk about Pakistan's geological potential, what is the potential you see, and also the significance of the recently organized Pakistan Mineral Summit, from dust to development was the theme. So, what's your take on that?
So, Mariam, Pakistan Mineral Summit took place last week. It is
on Tuesday.
Yeah, on Tuesday. So, of very significant importance, especially to Pakistan's GDP. Right now, Pakistan has around 60,000 square kilometers of mineral resources. This is the area that houses around 92 minerals that have been identified, and around 50 of those 92 minerals are being mined commercially. So right now, the potential that you were asking for about, around less than 1% of this potential is being tapped, and less than 1% of this contributes directly to the GDP. And according to the words of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, they want to expand this to 5% at least. So there is a huge potential in this area. Pakistan also houses the second largest salt mine, COAS salt mines. And other than that, the Rekodik project in Balochistan, that is the fifth largest. It has the potential to be the fifth largest gold and copper reserves in the world. And
what are some of the other key minerals when we talk about Pakistan's geological potential and how they can contribute to Pakistan's economy?
So, Mariam, I have like some numbers with me.
Sure.
And these right now will give you a picture of what the potential of Pakistan is and how little of it we are like
utilizing at the moment.
Right now. So, when it comes to gypsum reserves, Pakistan has 4.8 billion tons of gypsum. Other than that, salt, 10 billion tons of salt that is available. Coal, 186 billion tons. That is like, if you count the coal mines in Sindh as well. Other than that, copper, gold, 6,000 million tons, gold 1,656 million tons, silver 618, lead and zinc 23.72 million tons. So you can basically see that there's like a huge potential. Other than that, a lot of like international mining firms have showed a lot of interest in Pakistan's mining industry, especially Barrick Gold, which was one of the sponsors of this conference, is the key agency that is basically tapping the mineral potential, especially in Balochistan in terms of copper and gold reserves of Pakistan. Other than that, this conference was also of significant importance because of very high level delegation from the Saudi Arabia. They attended the conference. The Vice Minister for Minerals and Mining, he was also there with his whole team. And what's the significance of this? Saudi Arabia is the fourth largest mineral importer in the world. And they are seeing a huge potential in the Pakistan's mineral industry, and they are very interested in investing. Other than that, the whole conference was attended by many diplomats, many missions from across the globe, and they showed a lot of interest in Pakistan.
Of course, we will be talking about the environment and how to create that conducive environment for these investments as well later in the program. But when we talk about this conference and Pakistan's mineral potential, Dr. Jaspal, how do you see that government is going to harness this geological potential, especially when we talk about sustainable development?
I think that government has taken a serious initiative, and there was a creation of Special Investment Facilitation Council. With the creation of that council and then making all the stakeholders within the country, I mean the political government or ruling elite plus civil military bureaucracy in that reveals that the government is serious and they have adopted a very sustainable policy in this contest. That let's say this is an election year, but the government will change, but this council will be going to ensure the investors that if they come here, there's a long-term planning, not a short-term. In this context, if we are looking about these kind of the things, definitely you need to create a investment-friendly environment. And currently, and as earlier it was referred by Shahryar about the last week, you can say today's this minerals conference, which was on Tuesday, that also reveals the participation of high-level delegation, not only for externally but internally. Prime Minister and Army Chief and all of them are there. So that generates an, you can say, impression that the government of Pakistan is serious to tap these geological resources, and in this context,
of course, government is serious, and other key stakeholders also attended. That shows interest of other nations in Pakistan's mineral potential. But when we talk about, of course, sustainability, how do you think that the government should ensure that this is environment friendly, the exploration of minerals and extractions is environmental friendly?
This is an important point. When we look about the environmental relations or these kind of things, naturally when you explore, it has an impact on the environment, but this is not much. When you are exploring the minerals and you are using them, except the coal, the other minerals are not as dangerous to the environment. For example, Recordec, if they can explore, they can make the abstract this, and then this can be used for the improvement of the socio-economic development of that area. Definitely that will be having a positive impact on the environment. So we have to keep in mind that these minerals are, for example, the rare material resources, they are contributing a lot. If you are, and with the Recordec, we have a, you can say, identification of that, which will be used as a chip or as a part of the electric or batteries which are used in the electric vehicles. Definitely that will be going to translate into a good initiative for environmental protection.
Of course.
And in the other kind of the things. So when we look about this environment or sustainability is more with the growth, with the natural organic growth. These are inorganic materials. So we are digging them and then we are utilizing them. So there's no need. Only sustainability is that whether
so all exploration is already going to be environmental friendly?
Yeah, these will be definitely.
Okay.
And secondly, when we are looking about, in this case, sustainability is that your own workforce from A to Z. Definitely, government, as a day before yesterday, Pakistan's Planning Commission of Pakistan's Foreign Minister, this Asim Iqbal, he inaugurated a mineral research institute in the with the name of A.Q. Khan Meteorological Institute at the Quaid-e-Azam University. There he has also inaugurated another with the Chinese, which will be looking. So these projects within the universities, research and development, they will be going to create a workforce, educated workforce, and they will be going to sustain in the future. Already various universities in Pakistan have a geological department, or what we call it earth sciences department. So we have a workforce, and that's why these investors are coming in Pakistan. A, we have a resources. B, we have a cheap labor here. Only missing element was the third, investment friendly. And with this, what we call it Special Investment Facilitation Council, one window operation, that is more attractive for the investors. So all three things are available.
Red tapeism is going to be removed with the, of course, facilitation by SIFC. But Mr. Humayun, when we talk about cheap workforce in Pakistan and valuable minerals in Pakistan, infrastructure and infrastructure remains one of the key challenges when we talk about exploration of these valuable minerals. How do you think this would be a challenge for exploring the potential of these minerals, and how government is going to address this challenge?
Thank you, Mariam. I guess I will continue with what Dr. Jaspal was mentioning. Now we have a Special Investment Facilitation Council, which is a very high-powered body. And the idea is to create a system where you have one window operation where the incoming foreign investors would get facilitated in terms of getting NOCs and all other facilities. Having said that, in terms of infrastructure, the basic infrastructure is already there. With China-Pakistan Economic Corridor getting into the second phase, we already have an extensive road and railway network. We have fiber optics. We have very good connectivity within the country. So now, and then also, Dr. Jaswal was also mentioning about the youth that you have. We have the largest youth bulge in the entire subcontinent in terms of our population, 62 to 63%, and we're trying to scale them in terms of different professions. So, having said that, the only thing which was missing was the investors, and once investors come, the technology comes with them. We have seen the Middle Eastern version, how Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other Middle Eastern countries developed in last 40, 50, 60 years. They had huge oil potential, but it was like the foreign investors, when they came, they provided the infrastructure and the technological know-how. So if we can get that and harness that, and this is exactly what Prime Minister was talking at the summit, that Pakistan, this country has huge geological potential, and I would like to add, apart from geological, we have geopolitical potential as well. Pakistan's geostrategic location is one of the most important location in the subcontinent. We are at the crossroad of East Asia, West Asia, and Central
In
Asia at the
Southeast.
same time. And now we are trying to connect these three regions together.
Of course.
Afghanistan next door has huge potentials in terms of mines and minerals, but Pakistan is the gateway for those potentials to go to the world as well. So if we can add all of these together, I guess this is going to be a game changer for Pakistan. It's like $6 trillion
Of
of
course, this is
estimated
going to
worth
be,
of mines,
of
minerals.
course, of course, when we talk about different reports and $60 trillion worth of minerals are in different parts of Pakistan, and those includes remote areas of Pakistan as well. So logistics ultimately remains a challenge. What needs to be done to address this challenge? Of course, you already mentioned about the CPEC and different projects that are already linking the CPEC to those areas as well. But what about some of the remote areas that are unreachable as of now? And what needs to be done to invite and to invite more of the public sector into the minerals development?
No, yes, it's absolutely right. For example, Balochistan, which is almost like 45% of the country, has huge potential, but somehow it wasn't connected in the past with the rest of the region. But now that we have coastal highway, we have the eastern wing of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor coming from Quetta, Turbat, and all these places, and then connecting to Gawada. You need to see this thing as a future potential as well, that Gawada port is being developed at a very fast pace. There's an international airport which is going to be inaugurated this year. All other projects are there already. We have discussed that in your program many times. But having said that, Ricodec, which Dr. Jaspal mentioned and Mr. Shahryar also mentioned, has a huge potential. And one of the partners of this organization, a Canadian firm, is going to invest around $4 to $5 billion in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of Ricodec. Let me take you back a few years. Pakistan had huge problems in terms of exporting oil and gas for our electricity generation, and we used to spend around $4 to $5 billion a month in terms, or a year in terms of our export. If we could, and we have overcome that as well. When we have added around 10,000 megawatt of electricity already, which is almost it's a hydel, it's special, it's renewable, and many other aspects are also being added. So we have reduced that aspect as well. And if we could generate $4 to $5 billion of revenue from Ricodec in a year, then you can see, Pakistan fiscal deficit is around $5 to $6 billion a year. And if we could add that by Ricodec and by others, I think problem solved. So in that particular context, Balochistan is actively being engaged in terms of getting connected with the rest of the country. We are adding different roads and we are adding different railway networks to that area. So connectivity, yes, is as of now is sort of like a relative problem, but there is a massive work going on, and in the next 1 or 2 years, you will see that Balochistan will be completely connected with the rest of the country, and this problem will be solved.
Of course, this problem will be solved. But Mr. Shehbaz, when we talk about connectivity, work is already underway for connecting Balochistan and other areas to the rest of the country. But when we talk about revenue sharing and the distribution of equitable benefits from these minerals, what needs to be done in that regard? Because that remains an important aspect, that the underdeveloped communities should be actually benefited from the minerals development.
So Mariam, this is a very important point that you have raised. So I'll give you an example of the Rekodik gold
because
and copper
Rekodik
mine.
also experienced a lot of hiccups,
Yes,
judicial as well as other hiccups
it
as well.
Back in the day, in around 2013, the Supreme Court of Pakistan basically declared the deal between for Rekodik mine between Balochistan government, federal government, and there was this international organization by the name of Tatian Copper.
Right.
So the Supreme Court of Pakistan declared it illegal back in 2013.
Right.
And now when Barrick Gold came in and this deal was renegotiated, and this started like I think last year. Other than that, when Tatian Copper went into international arbitration, the court basically gave a decision against Pakistan. It also like made Pakistan liable for a penalty of around $5.8 billion.
Right.
And this negotiation took place.
Of course.
So coming back to your point, right now the whole arrangement between Barrick Gold, government of Pakistan, federal government of Pakistan and the Balochistan government, so 50% of the profits go to Barrick Gold and 25% of the profits, so it's a 50-50 arrangement. 25% of that goes to the Balochistan government, and that money, a certain amount of those profits will be repatriated and spent on the local communities of that area. Workers from around the mine will be given jobs, they will be given technical training, and they will be the ones who will be working. So overall community that is involved or around this area, they benefit a lot from the jobs that will be created and the money that will be repatriated and spent on those communities. 25% of this goes to the federal
and
government.
let's talk about regulatory reforms and incentives as well when we talk about minerals development that needs to be incorporated or that are already incorporated as we talk of this mineral development and mineral potential in Pakistan.
So this point has been comprehensively dealt with by Dr. Saab and Humayun Saab as well. So this is very linked to the investment framework of Pakistan. We have to realize one thing, that historically Pakistan has been very investment non-friendly, I would say.
A lot of red tapeism, non-coordination of
non-coordination, and a lot of like conspiracy theories also go in. And the worst thing, the local buy-in from the local communities has always been very missing. They're like, obviously Pakistan has like certain areas that have historically been marginalized and they haven't experienced the equitable growth that the rest of the provinces have been faced. So they have also been very apprehensive about foreign investment coming into those areas, and there has been a narrative that our resources have been exploited but we haven't like gotten anything in return.
Right, and that is why the revenue sharing point remains very important and significant when we talk about. But other than revenue sharing, security challenges in these areas also remains an issue. What do you think government is going to do when we talk about minerals exploration and providing that conducive environment to the investors?
I think that Humayun slightly referred to this geopolitics. And since 1979 to date, Pakistan is a victim of this geopolitical rivalries. And this Balochistan and KPK, where we have a mega mineral reserves, they were very much vulnerable to the external, you can say, insecurities and their impact. Even today, we are vulnerable because of this terrorism, insurgency sponsored by the enemies of Pakistan from Afghanistan. And if you see, we have a border area, Balochistan's border area is with the Afghanistan, and KPK has a border area with the Afghanistan. And naturally, the investors, when they come, they need a security.
True.
I think that the involvement of the armed forces, and if you see the last Tuesday, this meeting on the minerals from dusk to Wellman, if you see in that Chief of Army Staff's presence as a key note speaker besides the Prime Minister, that was also an indication that the investors, you can say workers, and their life security will be properly protected by the armed forces of Pakistan. So if we can, and they are now clearing these areas as well. In the Rekodek area, definitely we, the insurgents, or you can say Indians or this, our anti-forces in Afghanistan, they will target that the investment shall not come. But practically, if you see, Pakistan has a resilience to fight with it, and with this, we have improved it. Sustainability of 1 decade of the CPEC, and now the Chinese in Korea, you going for a second phase of the CPEC, also
Right.
confirm that yes, there is a now investment friendly environment. You are correct that which you identified that road network, but road network is there with the CPEC projects. We have a port, we have a CPEC roads, we have a airport. Amayo also identified this, referring to this inauguration of the airport. My understanding is that the education is now there. It's Balochistan is not like 2 decades before. Today, a young Baloch is very much educated, and they are very much interested in these kind of the ventures. Secondly, please keep in mind that where these mega billion projects come, they also laid, like this in the Rekodek, or this you can say company which is involved, gold, it's also on their responsibilities that they invest in the infrastructure built up.
True.
So from a mine to the road, it's the
Because
responsibility.
logistics remains an issue,
It's the
of course.
responsibility of the investors. When they come, they negotiate with you that this mine, we are purchasing you the mineral, we will be going to get a 50% profit. Why? Because we are investing for the exploration and transporting it to the market. So transportation comes in it. There was another important development is the socio-economic.
Of course.
Because by law, wherever you have these kind of the mines, as it was pointed out earlier by Syed, that the locals will be employed if they are not skilled, not unskilled, but if they are skilled, further preference. And I've seen that some reports that now where these processes going on, especially in our Swat or in KPK, where we have I mean that certain minerals which we are using it, their locals are earning a lot of money and they have a job market. So infrastructure automatically develop. Only at the moment we have a challenge is how to ensure the foreigners, that foreign investors, that in Pakistan there is a foolproof security for them. The reason is, yes, we have a foolproof security arrangement for the investors, but you know that Pakistani enemies are exploiting this, because once our minerals exploration started and they are going into the international market, and as it was pointed out that the Prime Minister aspiring that 5% we
Of
have
course,
to go up to,
GDP.
definitely it changed the fate of Pakistan's economic setup.
Of
And
course.
these are the areas, that's the reason for it.
Of course, that is very important. But Mr. Humayun, when we talk about minerals development and exploration, research and development remains a key element of this. What do you think are the measures that are needed for research and development in a mineral sector?
Mariam, this is very important that, we have been lagging behind with the rest of our neighbors in terms of research and development, in terms of mines and minerals. But now there is a renewed vigor and interest in terms of tapping into the potential of this mega opportunity that has presented itself to Pakistan, where we have an estimated a potential cost of $6 trillion worth of mines and minerals within Pakistan. But I would like to add something which Dr. Jaspal was mentioning, and which was a very interesting comment and a point. Pakistan places itself in a very unique position where, yes, we do have some security related issues, but that's just being addressed. On the other hand, we also are at the cusp of three different regions, and we provide the shortest route to the Chinese, to the East Asian, to not necessarily and Central Asian countries. So in that particular aspect, Chief of Army Staff, Dr. Jaspal, was mentioning that when he was present at this Special Facilitation Investment Conference, SIFC, and then he was present there, that is basically to assure the foreign investors that if you come here, we will be providing you with the security. Yes, security is an issue, but that's not as strong as an issue. We have seen a lot of East African or African countries where the issues were, the security was very bad, but still international investors were going there. American, Chinese, and many other Europeans were there. In case of Pakistan, we are relatively very good. Having said that, we are also part of this big geo strategic and geopolitical wrangling which is happening, and we want that all big players should come here and talk to us. For example, when we are talking about Afghanistan, when we are talking about Iran, when we are talking about Indian Ocean politics, Pakistan is playing a very constructive role. So if we add that Pakistan constructive role, foreign investors' confidence will build in, and then we have infrastructure being laid in the first phase of CPAC, and now we are getting into the industrialization of the CPAC second phase. This gives a very unique opportunity for the Pakistani uh, people and Pakistani government and Pakistani administration to attract the foreign investors. And hence we are seeing the Saudi minister was here,
Interest
the
in,
Chinese
of
minister
course.
was here, the European Union, many members were there, international organizations were there, international companies were there,
Right.
Canadian, American. So this gives us a hope that this conference will lead to a future where we will attract a very rigorous foreign investment in Pakistan if political stability continues in the next couple of months. That's the key.
Of
Political
course, of
stability
course.
in the country is the key.
Right, political stability is the key, and of course there are a number of challenges that we are facing at the moment. But of course, sky is the limit when we talk about this untapped potential of mineral sector in Pakistan. Thank you very much, Mr. Humayun Khan, for joining us in today's program. We will be taking a short break here, and when we come back, we will be talking more about the challenges and what needs to be done to explore more of the minerals sector in Pakistan. We are talking about Pakistan's mineral potential, and to discuss more about it, we are joined online by Dr. Sain Javed, who is economist and expert in international affairs. Welcome to the program, Dr. Sain.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dr. Sain, when we talk about Pakistan's mineral potential, what do you think is Pakistan's government's vision is for mineral sector in Pakistan, and how does it aligns with our broader economic development goals?
See, this is very much important. I mean, it is. I mean, you can. I mean, capsulate the statement that we have never heard about this. I mean, this is very important area. This is untouched area, untapped area. So, the premier, Pakistan Premier Shehbaz Sharif, and this current government, and then with the SIFC, Pakistan military. So all credit goes to Pakistan military so that they can they join together. They have created a one window operation to all these to understand the real initial, economic power of Pakistan, which is mineral. So what Premier says, so as a nation, Pakistan have also exhibited resilience and hope and that which initiative, and I can see hope becoming a reality. So in that other important statement by the Chief of Army Staff, which is very much important, which is like difficult times at the test of resilience of nations, though cohesion and the steadfastness and optimism, we will overcome prevailing challenges. So very important way in that way, like for example, the SIFC role in mining is a shared vision of the challenge landscape of the mining industry in Pakistan, emphasizing upon the catalytic role. So the most important thing is we never talked about, we don't have the actual data about it. So the potential of Pakistan estimated is the 6 trillion worth of the natural deposit. So in that case, the natural mineral wealth is set to play a far more significant role, with goal of the contributor over 5% of the national GDP. So this is very much important. The 5% of the GDP, we can, uplift our economy with this way. So the current share of this sector is less than 1%, and sector grows at the rate of 2 to 3% per year on average. So Pakistan is rich in resources, extensive mineral reserve cover 600,000 square meters. So the Pakistan has 92 identified minerals,
Right,
of which
right.
52
Dr.
are
Syed, of course,
commercially mined.
we've already discussed all these points, but let's talk about international market. We know that there are certain minerals which are in demand internationally. So what do you think is Pakistan's export potential when we talk about certain minerals? And especially marketing of these minerals have remain an issue or a challenge for Pakistan as well. What measures are needed for good marketing of these minerals internationally?
The first most important thing is that the Rekudik mine, if I particularly talk about the Balochistan and Chagri district, hold its own distinction. So what they have, contributed about the share. So Barrick Gold, for the marketing purpose, for the mining purpose, for the exploring purpose, for the facilitating purpose. So Barrick Gold would be the main facilitator of this. So they will have the 50% of the share. After that, the Balochistan must have to get its own share, and they are the real owner of that mineral and mine. So Pakistan military, I must give a credit to Pakistan military. They have given the due, a right to the Baloch nationals and Baloch people. So our brother Baloch people. So they have given the 25%, and the 25% goes to the federal. And then you talk about the potential. So we have the potential of the coal, which is 186 billion ton, and then is a copper is a 6,000 mm ton. Gold is about 6,056 mm ton. So silver is about 618 million ton. So the most important is the lead zinc, which is about 23.72 million mm ton, and chromite, magnesium, and iron. So iron is about the 1400, magnesium is about the 0.597, and the chromite is about the 2.527. So biggest, we are the second in the salt, which we have is a 10 billion ton. And the other is the marble and the gypsum. So we have altogether is a better half what we can, the potential of the whole export data. The data has been taken, what I have taken the data from the real escape manual. So it is from the salt to sulfur to iron to article to nickel article to lead article, tin, and other things. So capsulatingly, in whole sum amount, we are into the trillion of the $1 trillion we can get out of it. So this is one of the best idea to get it on. But this is without SIFC plan, without SIFC one window operation, it cannot be possible. But most probably, I'm very much hopeful now. This time, the Barrick Gold and Ministry of Petroleum and SIFC would make this deal very appropriate.
Of course, this deal is going to be made very appropriate, and when we talk about this deal, of course, creating conducive environment for domestic as well as foreign investors is also very important. What measures are needed or the government is going to undertake for creating that conducive environment?
So, Mariam, we discussed about it in the beginning of the program. Even when the whole controversy regarding the Rekudik mine, I bring it up because that decision by the Supreme Court was in 2013. Now we're in 2023.
A decade later.
Decade later. And like even now, when Barrick Gold is like working on the development of this mine, this mining will actually start in 2028. And that's when Pakistan will start reaping the benefits of this like project. So we can imagine that we lost 10 years in this whole legal wrangling. And the message that was given to the international investors was that investing in Pakistan is not safe. And even though international companies will sign agreements with the government of Pakistan, the Supreme Court can intervene anytime and make that whole agreement null and void. So for the first time now, with the establishment of the SIFC, and Dr. Saab has also like mentioned this many times, this has been given a very clear message to the international investors that once you invest in Pakistan, now your investments will be safe, not only because of the legal requirements. First of all, a one window operation will be provided.
Right.
So all the required NOCs and all the relevant permissions from the provincial governments and the federal governments, you will not have to like travel to all areas of Pakistan to get those. You basically come to the SIFC and they will facilitate everything for you. Other than that, you get legal cover, investment is safe, and because of the fact that the Army Chief is also one of the members of the SIFC,
So security challenges
security
also
challenges
going to
will
be
also be
addressed.
incorporated, and that they will also be taken care of.
And how does government engage with these international organizations or the investors to leverage their expertise in maybe transfer of technology or knowledge sharing for exploration of these minerals?
So, Mariam, that is the beauty of international investment and foreign direct investment. When international firms of the size of, for example, Barrick Gold, they come to any developing country, they basically bring the technology with them. They bring the human resource, they bring the technical expertise, and through work and through technical training and employment of the local population, this technology is already transferred. And this whole arrangement we've already seen with CPEC, and now that we're moving into the second phase of CPEC, we also see a lot of technology transfer being conducted anyways. So other than that, what are the other examples in Pakistan that we can take lead from? Procter & Gamble, Unilever, for example, Telenor.
And do we have some success stories in minerals exploration and development as well?
So Barrick Gold, obviously, they have already been investing in Pakistan. This investment or this whole exploration basically took a very long time. All of these feasibilities take a long time to conduct, and they're also very costly. And they also require a lot of technical expertise. So once these feasibilities are done, and when the potential is actually realized and the estimates are basically made, that's when the international companies come and they start investing because they see the potential. So now what we have to do is we have to sit back and provide a very conducive environment to attract the international investors, and they will bring the technology, they will bring the human resources, and they will basically explore all of these areas for you.
Right.
Yeah. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. One very important point that I want to bring up over and over again is the socio-economic development of the local population that is involved.
Right. So Dr. Jaspal, of course, socio-economic development is also very important, but what measures is the government taking to ensure that mineral development projects align with the international standards when we talk about minerals exploration and development?
I think that the first initiative in this context was this last week conference. If you see the participants of this conference, all the speakers were from the international community. Only locals were a few. So it is going to highlight the potential, and international establish that Pakistan has a potential which can be tapped by the international investors. This is a very important. Second is that these kind of the programs which Pakistan Television World is now conducting, that we are debating now that minerals are important. Pakistan can go for self-reliance with these minerals, and especially with the rare reserves. Third is that in the entire world, people understand Pakistan's, you can say, the scholars or the researchers or the practical workers, their dedication, their expertise, their skills. Our worker is doing a lot in the Middle East and everywhere. When they get this kind of opportunity, definitely there. So that's why what I earlier pointed out, cheap labor, and of course, with the passage of time on the ground, I have seen one mine where they have a labor and they train the labor. So with this skilled labor also becomes. So this is a very important.
Of
and
course.
Finally, Pakistan has to now debate, or you can say articulate, that our security environment has improved now. Of course, occasionally, sometimes something happen, we cannot underestimate, and these kind of the incidents happen everywhere in the world. So in this context, this narrative that Pakistan is very much vulnerable, it's a hard country, or there is no writ of the state, these are the slogans, or you can say issues which are raised from our eastern neighbor, which is raised by others. So we have to kill this impression by argument and by sustained policy. If the Chinese are protected here, anybody else can be protected here. So I think Pakistani law enforcement agencies have been not trained in the last 2 decades, and especially in the last 1 decade, how to provide a security cover, how to protect the you can say life and the resources of the foreigners in Pakistan. Definitely these are the areas. And finally, I can say we can further promote the tourism, and these minerals investors will definitely come as a part of a tourist, and then it will be there. And we can also send our own, you can say, mineral ministries people, and they can go participate in the pavilions. Like now,
Of course.
there is a pavilion going on, I think, in US, Los Angeles, and then from there
Right,
on.
of course, knowledge sharing,
Yeah.
technology transfer is very important. But Dr. Sen, when we talk about such mega projects, transparency and accountability also remains a key issue. Can you tell us about some initiatives or measures that are needed or that would be taken by the government to ensure the fair distribution of maybe the licenses given to these companies and the fair distribution to the local population, the benefits? Of course, we have already talked about that, but what about the accountability and fair distribution of licenses to these mining companies?
As earlier I told you that SIFC is itself is a accountability channel. So this is a facilitation. This is a complete confirmation that everybody is safe. So they are, safeguard the rights of the Baloch people, which is about the 25%. Then is the company, and then is the federal government. So everybody will get the equal share, and then the whole of the international funders are coming here and promoting the fixed settlement. So there are the important three factors of man, money, and material. So composure of the triple M strategy is a main part of this SIFC, and we are looking forward for the best result. And as manufacturing of the more value added product like gypsum and other things, we must have to have the courage to establish more developments like in all these areas. But your question is very much valid. Who will give the safeguard? So my answer to the with the inverted comma, SIFC.
Right. So SIFC is going to ensure accountability and transparency as well. But when we talk about this mineral exploration, how do you think that the government is going to balance mineral exploration with preserving these natural resources for our upcoming generations?
See, a very much important thing is like adopting the modern techniques in mining to increase the productivity. Secondly, the setting up the process unit near the quarries to reduce the cost of transportation. Third is the shifting from the traditional export partner to the new market like Japan, Sri Lanka, and USA, and the awareness of the manufacturers and export of the green products and their demand into the international market. And fourth important thing is a revamping of a closed process unit in Kohat and providing the basic utilities like gas and electricity. And one of the most important things is the manufacturing a more value-added product like gypsum, ceiling tiles, boards can increase the export of Pakistan, and it will become a part of 2 billion export market. So separating mining, a very much important thing is separate mining zone can also be established to have a complete value chain at one place, which will then make the product more competitive in the international market, and removing infrastructure bottlenecks, establish a center of excellence for the developing quality manpower, and forging the partnership with the global operators and technology provider also need to promote a place into to-do list. This is most important recommendation from my side, so that we can get the better result out of it.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Sen Javed, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Mr. Shahyar Khan, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal, for joining us in today's program. Of course, in today's program, we talked about Pakistan's huge mineral resources, and when we talk about potential, the potential is huge. But there are a number of challenges as well, and of course with the formation of SIFC, a lot of these challenges will be addressed when we talk about coordination and other security issues as well. And if we talk about sustainable development and sustainable governance, that remains a key issue and a key factor in mineral exploration. Knowledge sharing is also very important, and a number of jobs will be created when we talk about the $6 trillion minerals potential of Pakistan. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care.